this panel. We are going across the sea, across the ocean to Brazil. As I introduced you before, Professor Rebeca she's working at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, and she's working in a group, RETIS group, which is the most relevant researchers group in Brazil thinking about the border. So now the floor is yours.
I'd like to thank the kind invitation of the Association of European Border Regions, especially Mr. Martin Guillermo, who gave me the impossible task to present to you the Brazilian policies for its border region in a very short time. So for now, I can only give you some general information on the Brazilian border. I can say it's an extensive international border with 10 neighboring South American countries, all of it settled peacefully by 1930s. The length of the border is favorable for integration initiatives, but it's a problem in terms of the costs of investments, both in infrastructure and regional development. I think Russia has the same problem. In the Brazilian case, not in the other South American countries, in the Brazilian case, the international border has been an ongoing concern for governments since colonial times, because settlement was and still is concentrated in the Atlantic seaboard, while the continental border is sparsely populated. The main consequence for territorial policies regarding international borders has been the concentration of initiatives on the hands of the central government. The central government, nowadays the federal government, designs, regulates, and is the main stakeholder of border policies. Despite this concern, the concern that border areas are vulnerable to external threats because of low population density, policies for borders in the last century have been intermittently carried out, with a loss of institutional knowledge regarding border regions. In my presentation in course, I will be able to highlight at least 3 main border policies that since the second half of the 20th century. Not now, but I can say that unfortunately the Brazilian government is shifting from a regional development approach to again to a national security approach. From 2008 onwards, government support of the border regional development plan began to recede. Probably the first move that shows a shift in governmental strategic priorities was the launching of the 2018 National Defense Strategy, with the main purpose of stimulating arms industries. The regional development approach lost momentum for the everlasting national security approach. However, 2 important changes must be mentioned. First, internal security was associated with external defense, based on the equivocal evaluation that the border region is the preferred geographical locus of criminality. Instead of inexistent threats of invasion by foreign powers, the real threat to national security was said to be the illicit drug, arms trafficking, and smuggling. This, of course, is untrue. All of these problems are pervasive to whole of society and not specific to border zones. The second change was to extend the remote military and surveillance system already in place in the Amazon region. We will see a little bit more about it in course, to the entirety of border regions. A covert surveillance and intelligence gathering system, it's called CISROM, is now being set up right now as we speak, with a projected cost of $3.3 billion for a 10-year span. This is only 9.8% of total federal projected investment in defense, but it's a sum far superior to the annual average investment of $14.3 million since 2006 in the Regional Development Plan for Border Regions. So, all the same, the Regional Development Plan was replaced by a permanent commission with representatives from various ministries with focus in the conception of transborder policies for development and integration with the neighboring countries, mainly in the context of Mercosur. Moreover, the regional approach to the economic development of border regions made way to a series of bilateral agreements for specific sectorial policies. No more regional development approach, but these sectorial policies between foreign countries, the level our countries say. Mainly in energy, with Peru and Venezuela, for example, infrastructure with Paraguay, Argentina, French Guiana, which is France, Peru, Bolivia, but also for the monitoring of illicit drugs and smuggling with Bolivia, Peru, Colombia, Paraguay, and Uruguay. And of course, the defense industry with Argentina and Colombia. We can see more about this later, but our point of view, the HAT's point of view, is that instead of building walls between neighboring countries, regional and urban development planning can and should be the answer to the challenges posed by border regions. The Brazilian government has a promising head start in this direction, but seems to be moving fast towards the same unfortunate public policy that is being adopted in many international border zones that stresses criminality and threat instead of no neighbor policies. Such a course of action underestimates the economic, cultural, and social potential of border regions and may be a future source of tension in South American social and economic integration process. Thank you for your attention.
I think it was very interesting to see how far away such a big country like Brazil, at the end of the day, has the same challenges and even dialectics or dilemmas as we have here, and particularly when we are talking about big countries like Russia. I think we will be able to know more with some presentation next Friday, but we thought it was very interesting to put on table this issue in order to see that the cross-border cooperation and the dilemmas of border policies are a global issue.